This song here is dedicated to all the new people who just came.
All praises to the Most High. Blessed be the Ruach HaKodesh. And our Messiah, Yahushua Mashiach. Shabbat Shalom, Mishpachah. Blessed be our Father, Yahuwah Elohim Almighty, for another Sabbath. That's what we're doing over here. We're resting. We're chilling on the Sabbath. 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 Static Sunday. So we're chilling on the Sabbath. While everybody's out doing what they want to do. We're reading scriptures and singing to the Most High. Cause we know the law and we keep our Father's holy commandments. So let people say what they want to say. Let them say what they want to say. But keep in the days, yeah. We gon' be ready when Christ returns. They be having church on the wrong day. Thing that we say, yeah. Show them in the holy word. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. And we should always honor the Most High and do exactly what He says. That's a beautiful song. Ain't it, Miss Picard? That's a beautiful one right there. Chilling on the Sabbath. And Miss Picard, this one will be entitled, Why Come 83 Don't Know the Way to Lasting Peace? Why come they don't know the way to lasting peace? Now you got President Trump talking about a ceasefire with Iran, and then that went to the pits no more than a couple hours later. So they don't know the way to peace, to lasting peace. It's because they are not in control of things. They are not in control of things. See, the underlying problems of this world are spiritual in nature. That's why Psalm 83 don't know the way to lasting peace, because they are not in control of what's going on. Our Father Yah is in control. He is the one in total control of everything. All the good angels that He created, He gave them all different tasks to do. They all have assignments, and many of them have assignments in this world. Even the evil spirits, they are given assignments. But everything that the enemy has put them up to do, it all falls in line with the purposes of Yah being worked out in the earth. So, this is why Psalm 83 don't know the way to lasting peace, is because they are not in control. They are merely puppets for their father, Satan, because they don't honor our Father. They give Him no honor at all, no attention at all. You hear them when every time they make speeches, they don't say anything about our Father Yahuwah. You know, they say nothing about Him. They think they are in control. They are only mere puppets in the scheme of things. Because we are all in the midst of spiritual warfare. Okay? And you know, what they have come in Psalm 83 is judgment, recompense, and retribution for what they have done in the earth against Yah and against His chosen people for centuries. Okay? Now, I was just recently mentioning in the community part of this channel that the other night I laid down relatively early, about 8 o'clock. And what happened was very intentional. And I say that because no sooner as I shut my lamp light out next to the bed, and laid my head down on my pillow, it was like something, out of my control. You know, they did it. I'm sure this was an angel of Yah, because he have many angels and he give them assignments to do in this world, according to scriptures. Okay, so I'm sure this was an angel of Yah, and was told to do this to me, because I was starting to question some things for a couple of days prior. I was questioning something. I was talking to our father up in here, questioning some things. Am I doing something wrong? A lot of people are falling off, but that's what scripture says. In the end times, many will fall away, being, listening at seducing spirits. And so I was asking Father, was it anything that I had done wrong to cause people to turn away? And so what he allowed to happen to me that very day, I had been talking to him about some of these things. And when I laid down relatively early that night, I believe truly that he allowed me to experience these things to let me know that I'm still on the right track. So when it ended, it actually ended, I'll get to it first, the beginning of it. Okay, now, what happened was when I laid my head down on my pillow after I turned my light out, it was something, a force out of my power, out of my control. If I can explain it the best I could, Miss Picard, it was like my eyes was already closed, and I actually was just sleepy just a little bit. I wasn't real sleepy, but I just wanted to lay down. It was nothing I really wanted to watch on the boob tube, and I had, been off into the Word and other people who have channels that talks about the Word of Yah. So I did a little bit of that early in the day, and I was turning in early. I knew I was going to wake up, probably before midnight, and do something else again. I always sleep off and on. I never sleep clean through the night into the morning when the sun rises. I never have ever slept like that. I sleep maybe 2 hours, wake up, probably read a little bit, watch something, and be up for 5 or 6 hours. Since I don't have to work no more, I just, it's not a big deal. I sleep when I can. But anyway, I was about to sleep that night at 8 o'clock, and my eyes were closed, and it was like something out of my control. Everything was blank, and I wasn't going to fight this force. I wasn't going to fight it. I didn't know if it was something, from the enemy or from Yah. I'm saying in my mind, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. I'm not going to fight it. Am I dying? If so, I'm ready. And then everything was really peaceful, Miss Picard. And as I kept my eyes closed, I couldn't help but keep them closed. I had no control to open them. This was a trance, but it wasn't the first one I experienced. The first one I experienced was when I was 19 years old. I startled myself out of a dream because something startled me in the dream, and I woke myself up. And as I laid there, then this trance came over me, and I saw some things. But this time I was trying to go to sleep, and then this trance took over me. And what came to focus was that I was coming down from the sky toward the land. And the buildings were on fire as I was looking down at everything. And people were running and screaming. And a lot of smoke was coming from buildings, and fire and bombs was exploding all around. People were just screaming at the top of their lungs. As I explained it in the community section as I was writing. And so I landed on the ground. And then I was like, wow, let me get out of harm's way from these bombs that are dropping. You can hear boom, boom. So I'm running, trying to get somewhere safe, and everybody just running. And it looked like any American city. And so after I ran toward this alley, and I was like, I felt in my spirit, it's like, this destruction is not meant for you. You're fine. You're here to witness this. I said, oh, okay. So I stopped running, and I had a thought, like, let me jump up in the air higher than these buildings to see if I could see some very famous landmarks. You know, like some major cities have. In Seattle, they got the Needle Point Tower. Chicago, they got the Sears Tower, the John Hancock Building, and in New York, they got the One World Trade Center, and you know, so I didn't see any major towers. I wasn't able to fly way up in the air like in other dreams, but this was a vision, and I just couldn't go really any higher than 2 or 3 levels of buildings. So I was still looking around. I didn't see anything familiar. That's okay. So I started thinking, okay, well, since this destruction is not meant for me, let me go down here on the street level and see if I can see anything wicked, any evil spirits, you know, I'm attacking. You know what I'm saying? So family, I know many of you have read inside the book of Jasher and the power that our father had given our ancestor Jacob, okay, Israel and his sons. They all had superhuman strength because the mighty angels were with them, and they had superhuman strength. And so years ago, after being harassed, attacked in dreams from evil spirits for years, and then maybe within about the last 5 or 6 years, I started asking Father Yah to give me physical strength so I could protect myself in dreams against evil spirits and giants that are always attacking me, you know. And so actually he blessed me with what I asked him for, and it came when I started reading books outside of the 66 and outside of the Apocrypha. I had an Apocrypha, I had a book of Enoch, and of course the 66, but I didn't start having superhuman strength in my dreams until I started reading books like Jubilees and the Shepherd of Hermit's Chapel and the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, the book of Jasher, and the book of 1 Clement, the book of 2 Clement, and so forth. These other higher learning books, according to the book of 2nd Esdras chapter 14, I believe in there, it says that in the roundup in chapter 40 something, it says that, you know, in the, you know, some more books will be revealed, like about 204 books the prophet Esdras and the 5 other holy men wrote. Yah gave them the wisdom, and they wrote that many more books in 40 days and 40 nights. And so it said that they will be put up for the wise. And so so a lot of the material has been made available in these last days. And so when I started reading some of them, and I noticed in my dreams, I had superhuman strength, just like our Hebrew ancestors did before our people even became a nation. And so now I torment demons if they brave enough to show themselves in my dreams, you know. And like this vision, when I came down to street level, Mr. Pecan, I did see some hooded, evil spirits that were trying to hide from me. And I look at their face, and if they're real ugly and stuff, me look something other than a human, I grabbed them by the neck and just crushed it and just threw them. You know what I'm saying? So I was really having fun in that trance that y'all allowed me to be put into. And so it was, like I said, it was just a lot of destruction going all around, and it wasn't meant for me. I was meant to witness that and tell it, you know, because these are some of the things that are coming upon the world. Because like I said, we are in the midst of spiritual warfare, and we know that that's what scripture says. And all who don't follow Yah and take his lead and do things his way, they are being led by Satan and evil spirits. It says in the book of Ephesians chapter 2, I believe. Ephesians chapter 2, 1653. Now this wasn't part of the message, but it's just what came to my spirit. 1653. Okay, that's 1553. 1653. 1653, the book of Ephesians, chapter 2. That's what I'm looking for. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 1 and 2, it says this, and you has he quickened who were dead in transgressions and sins, wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the Ruach, that now works in the children of disobedience. It's talking about once upon a time we walked in this world according to the prince of the power of the air. That would be Satan. The prince of the power of the air. That would be Lucifer. Okay? That now works in the children of disobedience. So anybody who is not walking in disobedience according to the words of Yah, they are being led by Satan and evil spirits, whether they know it or not. Of course, also people who are just doing their own thing. Don't want to be with Yah, don't want to take orders from Satan, but if they just call themselves wanting to do their own thing, they're being led by Satan and evil spirits, according to Ephesians chapter 2. Wherein in time past ye walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the Ruach, that's Satan's spirit, that now works in the children of disobedience. If you're not being in obedience to Yah and his word, you're being led by Satan and evil spirits, whether people know it or not. That is actually the case, Mr. Picard. Okay, so after I jacked up a couple of evil spirits, people still running and screaming in that trance, that vision that I was allowed to see. And see, I know it wasn't from the enemy, because if it was from the enemy, they would have been attacking me. But no, this is from Yah, showing me what's going to come upon the earth, the world, part of the judgments and the retribution and recompense that this world has to receive and drink their cup because of their sins. Yasharel, we had to drink our cup for centuries. Our people were sold around the world as slaves in every nation. Every nation, just about, and the only nation that I know that our people were not, put in slavery was Russia. But all the rest of them, my people were slaves in those nations. Okay, so I was allowed by Yah to experience this, to tell what is coming upon the earth. And I know many others that belong to Yah, our Father Yah, have seen visions and seen dreams and experienced these same things. Okay, so after a while, he just allowed me to come out of it. But I wanted to stay in it because I had the power, you know what I'm saying? I had the power. And I actually dare evil spirits to come attack me in my dreams now. It's like I be waiting on them now. If they are in my dreams, it's like they try to be sneaky and they don't appear as anything ugly. They, you know what I'm saying? Because they know, Yah has blessed me with that physical power in my dreams. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not running from them. I'm chasing them now. You know what I'm saying? But if they brave enough to fight, they always lose now. Thanks to our Father Yah. But anyway, Ms. Picard, I'll start reading from 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3 to 9. First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3 to 9. And it says this, why come 83 don't know the way to lasting peace? Because they are not in control. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety like they're talking now, then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, notice the distinction when Yah is talking to his enemies and when he's talking to his people throughout this message right here. Notice, I'll make sure I point it out to you so you'll understand that he's talking to us when he's saying this, and he's talking to them when he's saying certain things. He's talking to the nations when he's saying this. For when they shall say peace and safety, those the elite who are in control of the world now, when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness. Those of us who belong to Yah, he's talking about Yazarel, his people, okay? That day should overtake you as a thief. You are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. For they that sleep, sleep in the night, and they that drink and are drunken in the night. But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet the hope of salvation. For Elohim has not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Adonai, Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay. Now, Mr. Pakah, I'll be going over to 2 Baruch, chapter 82. 2 Baruch, chapter 82. To Baruch chapter 82, verses 1 to 3. First. Therefore, my brethren, he's talking about his people now. Therefore, my brethren, I have written to you that you may comfort yourselves regarding the multitude of your tribulations. Telling us to comfort ourselves. For know ye that our Maker will assuredly avenge us on all our enemies, according to all that they have done to us. Also that the consummation which the Most High will make is very nigh, and his mercy that is coming, and the consummation of his judgment is by no means far off. Check out the distinction. For lo, we see now the multitude of the prosperity of the other nations. Psalm 83. Though they act impiously, no respect for Elohim at all, but they shall be like vapor. They're having their time now, and it's on the way down, but they still trying to hold on to some hope, calling on peace and a ceasefire and stuff like that, but it ain't gonna last. And we behold the multitude of their power, though they do wickedly, because they don't honor Yah, no way, shape, form, or fashion, but they shall be made like a drop. Okay, so from here, jumping down to verse 9. And we remark the boastfulness of their might, though they deny the beneficence of Elohim who gave it to them. But they shall pass away as a passing cloud. See, they don't honor Yah for giving them the power that they have now. You have Trump talk. Oh, we're the most powerful nation in the history of the world. You know, we have the greatest nation, the greatest weapons. He always bragging, boasting. Just like King Nebuchadnezzar when he was the king of the first Babylon. And Daniel was trying to tell him, it is the Most High who allows men to be leaders of nations. But the Babylon's King Nebuchadnezzar, he was so stuck on himself. And the Spirit of Yah led his butt out into the wilderness for 7 years. He was living with the animals. Grew bird claws and hair like an animal. And he lost his mind. He was out there living with the animals for 7 years because he was full of pride. He's full of himself, just like Satan. That's what got him kicked out of heaven. Full of himself, full of pride, got kicked out of heaven. And Trump always bragging about himself, always bragging about this country, about this nation, about the military, about the weapons that he have. The word of Yah says, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So before the fall, you will see the pride. Before the fall, you will see the haughty spirit, whether that be in nations or individuals. Okay? So, this is read verse 9. So now, 2nd Baruch, chapter 83, verses 1 to 4. And it says here, for the Most High will assuredly hasten his time, and he will assuredly bring on his hour. See, he's in control, Ms. Paka. And he will assuredly judge those who are in this world, and will visit in truth all things by means of their hidden works. And he will assuredly examine the secret thoughts, and that which is laid up in the secret chambers of all the members of man, and will make them manifest in the presence of all with reproof. Let none, therefore, of these present things ascend into your hearts, talking to his people, to our hearts, but above all, let us be expectant, because that which is promised to us shall come after they had their time. The promises in the scriptures for us will come. Okie dokie. Now I'm going over to the book of Revelation. See, Ms. Paka, all the angels our Father creates, many of them he have given assignments in this world. And judgments come, the judgments of Yah come against the nations in many ways. It could be storms, it could be hailstorms, it could be tornadoes, it could be earthquakes, it could be fires, it could be diseases, it could be but those things, they're not just happening. Like you see, the meteorologists give the weather and say, well, we see these storm clouds approaching, and they should be here within so many hours, and they tell people to take cover and stuff like that. And they can see on radar that the stuff is up there doing a whole lot of stuff, and they can see stuff is forming. It's not just forming on its own, Ms. Paka. The angels of Yah are doing that. They all have assignments. They control the weather, and when tornadoes whip up, angels are doing that stuff. I've read it. You know, when hurricanes in the oceans are forming, angels are doing that. That's right. They all have assignments in this world, but they don't do anything on their own. When Yah has, they have counsel together, and Yah decides that certain parts of the world need judgments, and he give it to the angels to choose what judgment that they gonna bring on those certain areas. So it's up to the angels if they want to whip up a tornado or hailstorms or hurricanes or what have you. But he gives it to his angels to send his judgments and retribution and recompense against nations, okay, in the earth. It is all organized by Yah and the angels in heaven, okay? But, and then they also fight against Satan and evil spirits. They're always fighting all the time in the spirit realm. Okay, I said Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. And this is just an example right here. Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. It says here, and after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Elohim, and he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Elohim in their foreheads. See, they control the wind and everything. The angels of Yah, he give it to them to do it. They work together. That's why I say Psalm 83, they don't know the way to lasting peace because they're not in control of nothing. They think they are, though. They think they are. You see, Trump and the people of Iran had just called themselves agreeing to a ceasefire for a couple of weeks. And then within a couple of hours, Benjamin Netanyahu, who's the president or the prime minister, whatever he is, over the state of Israel, scripture called that the synagogue of Satan over there. That's Satan's headquarters. So Yah is in control of all spirits. So he moved on the spirit to move on Benjamin Netanyahu to attack Hezbollah again, just to keep the fighting going. You know what I'm saying? The people are not in control. The people who are not in obedience to Yah are being moved by evil spirits and Satan. We just read that in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2. They're being moved by the spirit of Satan. Those who are not walking in obedience to the word of Yah. Whether they know it or not. They might be the president of a nation, a dictator, a king. It doesn't matter. They are all being moved by these spirits at the will of Father Yah to work out his purposes in the earth. As I continue, now I'm going over to the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3, Miss Picard. This will be in the Apocrypha. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3. I got so many sticky notes. So if I need to go back to something, I'll have to. Okay. So Ecclesiasticus, chapter 3, verses 18 to 22. And check out what it says here. It says, the greater you are, the more you humble yourself, and you shall find favor before Yahuwah. Many are in high place and of renown, but mysteries are revealed to the meek. For the power of Yahuwah is great, and he is honored of the lowly. See, you got people like President Trump who don't honor Yah, but he in a leadership position. That's why they don't have any answers to nothing as far as how to attain lasting peace. That's only found through Yah. But see, these leaders of these nations, they don't honor him. That's why they're all in disarray, trying to find a solution to peace. But if they honored Yah, he would show them. But it says, for the power of Yahuwah is great, and he is honored of the lowly, the people who are meek and lowly. We're nobodies to mainstream, but we are the ones who have the knowledge of Yah in this world today, and who are mostly the lowly. His people in Satan's kingdom. We're looked upon as the lowly. Yazarel. See, if they wanted to know the answers to some of their problems, that's all they have to do is ask some of us. Because we get our information from Yah in the Ruach HaKodesh. That's how it always had been. In every captivity of Yazarel, the kings always got knowledge from the Hebrews in Mizraim, which is Egypt. A king had a dream. The Pharaoh had a dream. None of his magicians and people of renown inside of his kingdom could interpret what dream he had. But this one guy who knew Joseph in prison, the barber, what was his profession? He wasn't a barber, he wasn't a baker, I think. I'll just say that. And he remembered Joseph that interpreted a dream for him and that other guy. And they went into the prison, cleaned Joseph up, and brought him before Pharaoh. And he interpreted Pharaoh's dream. You know, it took a Hebrew, a man of Yah, in Babylon. You know, it was Daniel, a Hebrew, telling King Nebuchadnezzar this and that. It was always the Hebrews, the Yah's chosen people, who helped the nations out with their problems. And their nation prospered when they blessed that Hebrew. Okay? But see, in our last captivity, Mishpachah, Psalm 83, have stolen our identity and gave it to another group of people, Esau, and propped them up as if they're Israel and all the nations in the world blessing them. And see, all the problems in the world that they have now, Esau ain't helping them out because they have no knowledge. They have no wisdom from Yah's word to help them out. That's why they're stuck now. The nations are stuck now. They try to keep ignoring the people of Yah, his chosen people. We have all the spiritual knowledge to help them to solve their problems in the world. But in order to save face and try to act like they don't know who we are, because they stole our identity, they hid our history, hid their history, and created all these lies to raise up this kingdom, Esau, in Psalm 83. So now they got to play it off like they don't know we Israel, and they know we are. So that's, it's like, so the thing that they did to curse us, in return, they cursed themselves in the long run, because this kingdom is coming down. This kingdom is coming down. Esau and the Psalm 83 kingdom is coming down as I speak right now. And eventually going to destroy each other. But they did it to themselves. In this last captivity of Yazarel worldwide, they stole our identity. So they can't come to us for knowledge now, like the other nations did before them that had our people captive. See? But the knowledge is in his people in the world. Yah's people I'm talking about. Moving right along, Mr. Picard. Isaiah chapter 13. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 11. And it says this here. And I will punish the world for their evil. This is what they got coming. And the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. And I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. That will be the leading nations. And everybody who's joining themselves with them. That's why it says in the book of Revelations, come out of her, my people. It's talking about the political system. Don't even be involved in it. We trust in Yah for our everyday needs. Let's don't get off into their politics. Okay? And the political, we remove ourselves from that political system, mentally, from, the system that eat pork and all this wrong kind of food that takes people's lives real early. And we disassociate ourselves spiritually from their pagan religions and pagan customs and pagan churches and stuff with their pagan holidays. We remove ourselves from that part of these nations. When it says come out, that's what it's saying. I did a video on this about a year ago. So, but physically it says, ain't no need to try to run up out of America right now, because it says, when we leave here, we will leave with great substance. We should be trying to leave before then. I ain't going nowhere. And I recommend and advise my people, you ain't got to try to run nowhere, because we still, no matter where you go in the world now, you still a part of Psalm 83. In any nation you go to, you in Psalm 83 is kingdom. So where you going to go? You might want to chill out where you at and just remove yourself politically out of this nation, all these nations around the world, and spiritually leave their pagan religions alone with their fake white Jesus and all that mess. I saw a video on YouTube not too long ago, Miss Because, it was showing about what's going on in some of the countries in Africa. And they just hate their blackness. They hate their own melanin. all bleaching their skin like what's that baseball player name? Uh, he's from the Central American country. He played with the Cubs. Sammy Sosa. Have you seen him now, man? and you got a lot of people in on this side of the world, South America, Central America. They so stuck on Esau and being white and white status. They hate being chocolate. They hate it. They hate it. And see, that's why Scripture says only a remnant of Israel is going to make it, because most of Israel hate themselves. They hate their melanin. But that's the same chocolate our Father has. The same melanin Yahushua HaMashiach has. He's giving it to his people. But see, because they don't have no word in them, these people who bleaching their skin and they just look like monsters now. Because, you know, some parts of them are real white and then they got black spots that didn't bleach. They just look horrible. These people don't have nothing up here. That's simple. They have nothing up here. And they hate what Yah created because they're stuck on Esau's kingdom. They want to be white. And that's why most of Yazarel won't make it. Most of Jacob ain't going to make it in Yahushua Mashiach's kingdom. Because they want to be white. They want to be white. But it ain't about your skin color. We are told to test the spirits. Test the spirit. But see, you know, it is a shame. It is a shame. But, you know, when people are simple and don't know nothing, they follow the blind and to be led, you know, into a pit. A burning fire. That's where they all going, you know. It is such a shame. I'm like, oh my God. They've shown country after country, not just in Africa, but a lot of people, like I said, a lot of Jacob, you know, a lot of the people from the 12 tribes of Israel in North America, in Central America, in South America, they hate their melanin. Oh, I'm no black, no black. You know what I'm saying? I'm this, I'm that. You know, but it's because people refuse to study, and you know what I'm saying, the only thing matters to them is whiteness and white status. That is crazy. That is crazy. Okay, and in closing, I'll be going over to Romans chapter 8. And we're talking about why come Psalm 83 don't know the way to lasting peace. It's because they're not in control. They are not in control like they think they are. They're nowhere near being in control of anything. And make no mistake about it, just because whatever goes on in this world, you know, with the good angels or the bad angels, or the good people or the bad people, let's stay and walk in obedience to Yah's word every day and walk in love toward each other, keeping his commandments, Sabbath day holy. Check this scripture out right here, Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love Elohim, to them who are called according to his purposes. All things gonna work out for our good anyway. It don't matter who hate us for being Yah's chosen people. It don't matter how many of them hate us because of our melanin. All things work to the good for them who love Yahuwah, okay? To whom are called according to his purposes. Everything is gonna work out good for us. So Mishpachah, don't worry about nothing. So this has been why come Psalm 83 don't know the way to lasting peace, is because they are not in control. They are being disobedient to the word of Yah. They won't reverence him and give him respect. So they are being led by the spirit of Satan. They're only puppets for the Satan and the spirits of darkness. That's what they are. Puppets on their way to the rest of judgment and retribution and recompense for 1,000 years. The cup that they must drink. Okay? All right, family. So until next time, may Yah bless each and every last one of you. and walk in peace and love toward each other. I'm Brother Judah Israel. For those who don't know me, my love and shalom.